Hey everyone, it's Jim
and Charles
from Valves and More, an online vintage tube store. And today, in Tube Lab number 225, we're going to talk about what it costs to go audiophile. And actually, we're going to have a couple of episodes in which we talk about this. Today, we're going to talk about a very basic audiophile headphone system, something that gets you audiophile sound on a budget. But first, caution everyone, electronics and tube amplifiers can have very high voltages present, which can be lethal. Exercise extreme caution when working around them. Always consult a professional technician when in doubt. Well, these are just props to get us into the intro. I think it's time that we head over to the music room and we see what goodies we've got all laid out.
Yeah, let's go take a look.
Okay, welcome back to the music room. We're going to do a fairly quick rundown of what sort of gear you can put together to have the beginnings of an audiophile sound system on what we called when I was younger a beer budget or a six-pack budget.
Yeah, so the first thing we have to do is forget about speakers, because speakers mean power amplifiers and that adds a lot of cost. So we're going to focus in on headphones.
Yeah, now next week we'll actually do a main system video and talk about what the beginnings of an audiophile system costs. But right now we're just seeing how little money you can spend and get really great sound. So it all starts with a music source. You could be streaming, but then you're going to be paying for one of the better services like KoiBuzz. You're going to be paying a fair chunk of money every month. Yeah, you're going to have some great sound files, an infinite number of music files available, including a lot of masters. But if you're like me and you have a lot of digital music that you already own yourself, so you have a good sized library, a digital music player is a fantastic low budget way of getting a source into your system. This is, I think, the second generation FiO. It's on their own operating system. It's before they went to Android. They sound amazing, and it's been going for years and years and years. I bought this used. You probably can grab one of these things for $100 or less, maybe in mint condition, I bet. I can't recommend the FiO enough. If you had some more money or you got lucky and you found something like the Concube, these things sound amazing. But they're expensive.
They're more complex.
They're not easy to repair. And the company doesn't support supplying parts. So
that's a little more niche there.
Yeah. Now, we actually, when we were doing some DAC development, because eventually we hope to have a DAC kit, I did quite a bit of DAC development, not this winter, but last winter. And then we got busy with some other stuff. But part of that was to see what we could assemble from off-the-shelf components. And this is a proto DAC. And if you're curious as to what it is, just Google proto DAC and you'll find it. And it's basically a custom build. So it's got an Ian Canada power supply. It's got, I think, an Ian Canada clock module, and here's a little display that he has. And then the proto DAC I just found on eBay, I think, from a gentleman that puts them together as kits.
It's built around a Raspberry Pi, basically, and all these parts are interchangeable. There's lots of other boards that people are making out there for them. So this is a great way for the tinkerer to build the digital source themselves and make changes and modify and upgrade it over time.
Yeah, and the way it works with a Raspberry Pi, of course, is you can have a really good music player on your tablet or on your phone and control it, basically have a remote control that way. And the sound of the proto DAC is stunning. It beats all of our digital music players, all of the DACs that I've ever had, CD players, you name it. And it's only 16-bit. And it's going to be, when we do a DAC development, it'll be the reference. Can we get that kind of clarity, open sound, natural sounding digital music in our own DAC development? I hope so. So yeah, and you're going to spend more money for something like this. So
not as much as a Concube, but definitely more than an inexpensive FiO.
Yeah, and you're not going to find these components used. So you're going to be building it new. It's for the more technically minded, because there's things that that you really have to pay attention to, or you could blow components up. And but yeah, I was quite impressed with this, especially for the money that we invested. Okay, so a lot of headphone amps. Yeah, this is a headphone system. Of course it is. A lot of headphone amps will talk about, well, you could drive it off your phone, or you can drive it off your tablet, but or your streamer. But the reality is, the vast majority, and reviewers will back this up. There's a lot of really good reviewers for this whole milieu of headphone sound, and they'll all say the same thing. Well, yeah, you could drive your headphone amp off of these low output devices, but you're not,
it's going to struggle with it.
It's going to struggle. Yeah. So you're not going to get audiophile sound. You really need a good preamp. And the main systems are the same. A good preamp in the main system is critical. And it's just as important in a headphone system. We've got here our Rocket preamp, because it's what we designed. It's what we're currently selling a lot of. And it's available as a kit, or as an assembled kit.
And it's what we designed this OTL headphone amp to go with. A high-powered, high-output preamp. That's very simple, but produces great sound.
So what do you get with this? Well, you get usually switching inputs, so you can have a couple of inputs at least. You get tubes. But what the preamp does basically is bring the low voltage output of your streaming device, your computer, your DMP, your DAC, bring that very low voltage output and bring it up to a point that your headphone amp can work with the voltage. That's what a preamp basically does. So that's its essential mandate. It's the one thing it has to do well is cleanly increase the gain of the voltage from the input to the output. It can do a lot of other things, but that's the main thing. We'll look at money in a minute, and we'll add up everything really quickly. This is the prototype of what will eventually be in a modern line chassis, we think, though we're still developing it. It's actually it's in the lineup. It's coming. It's next after we do a little project for the Wilsonton R8. And it's an OTL headphone amp. And I'm going to suggest, if you're on a budget, you want to go OTL. The sound is stunning, first of all. The immediacy and the clarity of the sound is like nothing you'll ever hear with a conventional transformer output. And that's where you save the money. Now, transformer coupled, or transformer output stage headphone amp can sound amazing. We have a prototype version of it, but the cost is going to be double. The good output transformers cost money. There aren't any in here. So
that saves some weight, saves some money, and there's fewer parts in it. That just makes it all cheaper.
Yeah. So one of the things with tube gear, and you should be thinking tube gear because the sound is just to die for, is what tubes do my preamp and my headphone amp use. And there's a really well-known audiophile preamp that uses 6 6922s. They're expensive tubes. They're getting rare and hard to find. If somebody gave it to you, I would suggest you sell it on and you buy something like the Rocket, because you're looking at $100 for new old stock, high-quality vintage tubes. Audiophile.
For the Rocket.
For the Rocket.
Yeah.
And a little bit more for a pair of 6AS7s. These are actually vintage Svetlanas, true Svetlanas, and they sound amazing. And they're not hugely expensive. They're not cheap tubes, but they're not hugely expensive. Okay, so everybody gets it that you need an amplifier for your headphones. Where you really need to focus spending your money very carefully is headphones, because the selection is just enormous. So at the really budget end, something like the Baradynamic DT 770 Pros, these are 80 ohm headphones. Impedance matching, before I forget, is important. If you're putting together a headphone system, you've got to understand what impedance matching means.
Especially with an OTL system.
It's essential.
Yeah.
So the lowest impedance that this kit's going to be able to drive is 80 ohms. That's why we actually bought the Bear Dynamics. Are these audiophile headphones at $150? No. Are they close? Almost. So if you were on a really tight budget, yeah, you could buy these. Maybe even find a used pair for less. Audiophile sound starts with something like the Sennheiser. This is a HD 660S, and I think these are 150 ohms.
Yep.
And they're a perfect pairing for this amp. They just sound stunning. And we have much more expensive headphones than these. And they sound, you know, the difference in sounds, to add a couple of $1,000s to the bill, you can hear it. But do these get us to audiophile?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And they pair very nicely with an OTL system. The sound of the Sennheisers and an OTL setup just work really well together.
Now, will they work well with every amp? No. So one of the things that you're going to find is, first of all, you're not going to be able to, if you're on a budget, you're not going to be able to get all of this at once. So here's what I suggest. You don't buy a mid-priced, fairly cheap thing off of Amazon and not get to audiophile grade sound. Buy something really cheap, local and used, that sounds okay. That gets you some music so that your life has some music. And everybody should have music in their life, in my opinion. In fact, music is life. And then you save your money and you do your research and you carefully buy your components as you find them at affordable prices.
With the thought of how it's all going to fit together whenever you have all the parts that you want.
Yeah, and you might get the whole thing together and you might think, I can do better on the source side. Or that used preamp I found, even with new tubes in, it's just not cutting it. Mm-hmm. So I think I'm going to cut my losses and get out of that preamp and get into something like the Rocket. And when you're looking at specifications, and if you don't understand something, go into a company you respect. So, for example, we publish the schematics for our kits. We put full specifications in the format that we deem to be most representative of the truth of the performance of the kit. So look at our build manual for the Rocket if you want to sort of get yourself oriented as to what good specifications are for a preamp. But at the end of the day, how everything sounds together is what matters. If you get it together and you think, I don't think this is audiophile sound. I've got a friend with a better system. I think I'll see if we can mix and match some equipment, or I can go over to his place or her place and get a better reference. You might realize, okay, I know now where my system is a little bit weak. You don't need to spend a fortune on cables. So what are we talking about for this whole system? Well, if you shop carefully and you take your time and you do your research, I bet you can put together an audiophile headphone system for $1,000. A lot of the equipment's going to be used, and you're going to have to be really patient to get that kind of a price and that quality of sound, but you could do it. And I think a more reasonable price would be somewhere around $1,500. And if you just want everything all at once and you don't care, you're going to buy it all new old stock, well, you're not on a budget anymore, but you would spend about $3,000. But you're going to be listening for $1,000 to $3,000. You're going to be listening to sound or headphones that will rival an audiophile main system that will cost $10,000, $20,000, $40,000.
Yeah.
So you don't have to spend a lot of money to get audiophile sound. But what you do have to do is be thoughtful, be patient, and just take your time, basically.
Don't buy the least expensive integrated thing that somebody has slapped a tube on and expect it to solve all your problems right away, because it's going to cause more than it fixes.
Yeah, and you're going to have a throwaway piece of gear, and that portion of your budget is gone. So, so make your investments very wisely. If you do, and you have to, move out of a piece of gear and move something in. So if you've made a good choice initially, even if the synergy just isn't there with the system, it's just not the sound you're looking for, you can move it on and probably recover all of your money. So, yeah. So hopefully that helps everybody out. And
we've got some interesting amplifiers to go take a look at over in our new build room. So let's pop over there and take a look.
Welcome to our newest space to join the businesses. The kit amp business has just been growing so much over the last couple of years. And of course, the tube business has always been busy. In fact, the last 3 months were just insane. Thank goodness it slowed down in February because we just didn't have any time to do anything but shipping tubes. Anyways, we're just going to drop in quickly to look at what Charles has put into the store. These are all of the prototypes and unique builds that we've done over the years, and we're literally out of space. And we both, on the same day, we both came up with the same idea that we should clean these up and sell them.
Mm-hmm. And most of them don't get enough time in the system anyway, so it'll be nice for people to actually listen to and enjoy them.
So for the first round in the store, these are all in Valves and More underneath the Classic line listing. And I think you've got 5 completed kits in the store, Charles. They've got nice, good descriptions. And over on our other channel, Melotone Amps, there's a complete video in which we talk a little bit more about these. Or you can just drop into the store and check out the listing. They're unique, though. There's only one of each. So when they're gone, they're gone. We're not going to be manufacturing extras, and they're priced to sell. So so I'll put the link down below the video, and well, I think we should return to our regularly scheduled program. What do you think, Charles?
Yeah, let's go take a look at some tubes that we got in.
Okay, well, we got a lot of power tubes in over the last couple of weeks, and so we were power tube testing yesterday, was it?
Yep.
And I think we only lost one.
Yeah, only lost one, and we actually managed to find some more Mullards. Now we still have to get them cleared, so they're not in the store yet.
Yeah, so EL34XF2 Mullards, the gold standard for EL34s. We basically ran out of stock.
Yeah, and then finally found some more and got them in.
Yeah, so hopefully in the next couple of days, there will be some more inventory in the store. But believe it or not, we're overstocked on the true Svetlana 6550Cs. I never thought I would be saying this in my life. We used to have a lot of them, but I think maybe we overstocked and had an overstock sale once years ago. And that was for good used tubes. These are new old stock, and we've just been really lucky over the last year. It's really odd how sometimes we go for months and even years and don't find anything, and then all of a sudden we have too much.
Yep.
So, yeah, this, in my opinion, the true Svetlana 6550C is the best 6550 ever made. They just have a nice touch of warmth in the mids that is unusual for the type, and they are good long-lived tubes.
Yep, they're reliable. They don't tend to have gas issues or issues with red plating or noise. They just seem to be very consistent, which is something that we see a lot with Svetlana tubes.
Now we've got quads of new old stock Svet 6550s in the store, and we have quads plus 1, so there's actually a match spare, so you could get 5 tubes. Both of those sets are heavily discounted until basically we sell down our inventory. And so if you always wanted a good price on a 6550 new old stock Svetlana, now's your chance.
Who knows if we'll actually ever be able to find them again.
Yeah. Well, I always like to, if we can give customers a discount, a big discount, I'm always looking for that. So, and it doesn't happen often. We've got too many power tubes that are, true vintage. Anyways, if you stay to the very end, here's some discount codes to, help you save even more money. And there's a secret code that's pretty easy to figure out. Lots of people get it. We can reach almost everybody around the world with flat rate $20 shipping. But if you're in a difficult to ship region of the world, an island nation, you can always drop us a line because it's tough to get to those hard places with tracking. If we don't put tracking to a difficult to ship region, it's basically like giving away a parcel to a thief. So yeah, so let us know ahead of time if you're in a tough to ship region. But if your order is $150 or more after discount, the shipping's free. It's on us, folks. Stay safe, everyone. This is Jim.
And Charles.
Signing off. Cheers, everyone.